every man at some point in his life has probably had somebody tell them, be a man.
You said that your wife once told you that she didn't need you to be weak. She needed you to be tender.
A man should never break down in a moment of crisis. We should be the guys that have our stuff together so we can be the safe harbor in the storm. But my daughters need to know that they can impact dad in a way that like other people can. You are creating the sort of man that you tell your daughter to avoid. Men with their daughters, we have this tendency to not know what to do. And then by the time we're older, we feel completely disconnected. It's like, if you want the sort of relationship with your teenage daughter to where when you say, that boy's not good for you, she goes, okay. Well, that starts when she's 2. Please believe me when I say this to you. Your kids don't need 14 different recitals, soccer games, extracurricular activities, family vacations, as much as they need to know that mom and dad love each other. And then Donald Trump walks in. These the guys, are these the guys? Beautiful guys. Beautiful paintings all over. None of these were in here. Biden didn't have any of them here. I brought them in. I brought them back. Beautiful paintings.
Talk to me about that phrase, we're just asking questions. At what point does that become almost just a fake way to just propaganda?
When you're obviously engaging in implication or innuendo and you're not just asking questions anymore.
And apparently you and I both have something very unique that ties us together.
One time I was running guns up in Canada. What was Grandpa doing? I thought Grandpa was a podcast consultant.
Got arrested for smuggling a firearm up into Canada. Today on the podcast, we have Nick Freitas. He is, he's just a stud, guys. Like, he's a former Green Beret. He member of the Virginia House of Delegates. I mean, this guy is awesome. He's actually been a dream guest of mine personally since I started this podcast 2.5 years ago. And we were blessed to actually go in his studio to do the interview. So I hope you enjoy the conversation. He was so open and kind to us to let us come here in his studio. So it's going to be a great conversation. Again, thank you for watching this episode of The Dillon Show. So I'm honored. First question for you is, because I got recognized one time in a Culver's, and my wife was like, this is weird.
Yeah,
right? And I have a very small following. What is it like when people say that to you? Like, hey, you dream guest, or it's been so like, Green Beret, decorated, Virginia delegate, and now you're a content creator with millions of followers. Like, does it feel different, or like, what is it like when people come to you being like, bro?
Well, no, the part that's really cool is like when someone like there was a gal that came up to me at AmFest, and she said, "Hey, I just want you to know that my dad started listening to your content, and he's really started to read his Bible, and he's really been investing in being a good husband and father." I was like, "You can't give me a better compliment than that." So it's stuff like that that's really cool. And then of course, again, being in politics, I'm used to also people that can't stand you, but they don't usually come up and say something. Every once in a while, they will. Every once in a while. We used to joke that, especially when I was in the state legislature, if someone came up 50-50.
Yeah, you just don't know.
Yeah, they could be there to chew you out.
And you said off air that you're not pursuing re-election.
No. Yeah, I announced back in March of 2025 that I wasn't going to be seeking re-election, and then I endorsed someone to replace me, and she won her primary and just won the general election. And yeah, Karen Hamilton. Her and her husband Cameron, just great people. She's gonna do a wonderful job.
Yeah. Why? What went through the process of why not re-election? Because if you go through your comment section, everyone wants you to be president.
Yeah.
So I know.
People are nice.
Yeah. Which I would vote for that.
Yeah. I've been in 10 years. I never said it wasn't my dream to run for office one day. It was my dream to be in the military. I got to do that, and I liked that. But I did get. Serving in the military and serving overseas in Iraq, I definitely learned how to get frustrated with politicians. And so I thought I would do something to maybe try to impact that in a positive way, but was there for 10 years. And interestingly enough, that's also how we kind of got into social media. It was because there was one time in particular where I'd given a floor speech on the Second Amendment. Yeah. And the way the press covered that speech and what I actually said could not be farther apart. And so I didn't know what to do. And I was like, I'm just going to take the speech and put it on Facebook, and people can decide for themselves. And it took off pretty good. It was, it was the first thing I had done that went like super viral, like tens of millions of views.
That's probably the first one I saw.
Yeah. And that's where I realized, this is an incredible mechanism for me to just go directly to people and tell them what I'm thinking without the filter of the press. And so being in politics and trying to do that job well and using social media as a way to communicate with constituents and people. And after 10 years, I kind of got to the point where I was like, all right, God, we're getting a lot of opportunities, and I'm traveling a lot more. And my wife and I, we have a real passion for like trying to build strong families, and helping parents that are trying to educate their kids in a world that has a lot of bad influences for them. And then I got drawn out of my district, and I had to move to stay in office. And I was like, all right, God, are you telling me something? And so T and I prayed about it and just came to the conclusion that, we're not, there's other people can do what I'm doing right now, and maybe even do it better, probably do it better. And so, we found someone that was willing to run, that we thought would do a great job. And, it was one of those things where I'm glad for the time that I had. It was an incredible experience. Serving in the Virginia State House too is kind of unique because it's the oldest legislative body in the Western Hemisphere. And I got to represent James Madison's district.
That's awesome.
And it was a great opportunity, but when it was time to leave, it was time to leave. Yeah.
Do you see a time where you're going to come back into politics? Are you, because it has to be exhausting. Like, I mean, like I have dealt with a mind. So I live in Detroit, very liberal area. I have a lot of liberal clients. I have liberal, and they've seen my content, and there's always a little bit of tension. It's not fun. And I deal with the minimal amount of hate that I'm sure that you've received. Like, does that wear on you? And at times is it just like, I just want to be done for a second?
It can wear on you. That's not really what drove me out though. Nothing really drove me out. It was more of, it was just time to leave.
Yeah.
But that part gets frustrating because whenever you're talking to somebody, it's difficult to just have casual conversations with people you meet on the street, or to be seen as something other than the representative. So they're happy with you, or they're mad with you. And that gets tiring. And if you're someone that has the political philosophy I do, which is to say that the true meaning of a free society is you get to live your life the way you want without the government constantly intervening, you end up making everybody mad at some point. You end up making the left mad more than you do the right, but you run into a lot of people on the right too. It's like, I don't like government spending except for this thing that I want. And so you end up telling people no a lot, and that wears on you as well. But look, I think the founders had it right. I think politics was supposed to be something more of a temporary term of service rather than a career that you depended upon for your income. I loved serving in a citizen legislature. Most state legislatures are citizen. They're not full. I think Michigan's a full-time legislature.
I think it is.
Virginia, we go to Richmond for 60 days in even years, 45 days in odd years. You get paid $17,500 a year, roughly. And then you go back to your district for the rest of the year, and that's where you do your job and everything else. So it really is go down there, do the people's business, get back to your district where the real world is. And so that I enjoyed that experience. But yeah.
Have you ruled off ever running for president?
Oh gosh, I will put it this way. I don't have any ambition to run for political office again. That doesn't mean I'd never do it if I thought that it was something that I should be doing. But I don't get my identity in being in politics.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, just to press it, I think, I followed you as a fan for so long. And one of the questions that my wife wanted me to ask you would, like, Trump is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because Trump is not an eloquent speaker. He doesn't always portray himself.
Yeah.
That makes it easy to publicly support him, right? Yeah. And then someone like a Nick would be like, that's a leader we could get behind. That's someone that, like, when we see you on the floor talking and speaking to your constituents, like, that's the way that you're like, oh man, I'd be proud to really represent that guy. I think there's a lot of people that feel that way. So is that like, what would need to happen for it to be so clear that God wants you to do that you would even be willing to take steps?
God would have to show up and have ID. That's always my joke. Like, I have no desire to ever run for higher office. And if, again, the joke is, if God really wanted me, I'd do it, but I'd need to see ID.
Needs to be clear.
I need to see a couple miracles. Well, and again, I also think we're at a point where I think JD Vance is a very articulate speaker. Trump is a little bit more of I'll tell you what, I remember people going to Trump's rallies initially because I was not on board with Trump when
Like in
he first
2016.
ran.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was more of a Rand Paul guy and stuff like that initially. And Trump won me over because he actually governed the way he said he was going to, and I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I've been around a lot of politicians. I've been around a lot of people that seem to be kind of all over the place in what they believed, and I didn't think he was serious. And but I remember the people kept talking about these rallies. When you've been to as many political events or rallies, they feel like they're all the same thing and they're boring as all get out. And the first time I went to a Trump one, I was running for Congress at the time, so I was speaking on stage ahead of the president showing up. And I was like, I get it now. Because Trump doesn't hold a political rally. Trump holds a stand-up comedy session where he's just talking. Like, I don't know what they write on the teleprompter, but he ain't reading it. He's just going. And there's an element of that is very authentic and that is really, really hard not to like. And he's a very intelligent guy. He's a very funny guy. I remember the first time I got to meet the president in the Oval Office. And we weren't even supposed to meet the president. We were there to meet with Caroline Levitt and J.D. Vance. And Caroline Levitt was incredibly impressive,
Sharp.
very, very intelligent. Yeah, very, especially for how young she is. And then J.D. Vance comes in. And again, politicians tend to be really, really cautious around people that they don't know, and especially people they don't know who are involved in either the media or content creation, right? Because anything you said can and will be held against you in the court of public opinion. And he sits down and he's just talking. And again, very articulate, very informed, but very easygoing, very laid back. And we joke because I think he's the first enlisted guy to ever be vice president. We're like, oh, it's E4 Mafia. Because I was an enlisted guy in the Army too. And then Donald Trump walks in and he's got, the kicker from the Chiefs.
Harrison Butker.
Butker, yeah. Yep. And Trump went, are these the guys? Are these the guys? Beautiful guys. Right? And so we go to the Oval Office and it's like, he's like, beautiful paintings all over. None of these were in here. Biden didn't have any of them here. I brought them in. I brought them back. Beautiful paintings. We got George Washington. The position of honor. Maybe it should be Trump. Should it be Trump?
Should be Trump.
Should it be Trump? Yes. I don't know. Maybe it should be Trump. We have these coins, beautiful coins, but just very, very personal.
What you've seen is who he was.
Yes, it's like and so it's one of those things where I was like, this is a real likable guy in the room, and again, I think a lot of people appreciate the fact that he's a guy that wants to get things done.
Yeah, Bill Maher said the same thing.
Yeah.
Bill Maher, someday you watch Bill and you're like, yeah. And then other days you watch Bill, you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But anyway, Trump invited him to the White House and apparently Bill was just like, it was great.
Yeah.
And Trump was nice. And
Bill Maher is somebody I feel like I could have a good conversation with. And because my criteria for this is, can I have a good faith discussion? And for me, a good faith discussion is, we might not agree on policy, we might not agree on morality or anything but we agree that there is such a thing as objective truth, right? It's not your truth and my truth. Yeah. We have perspectives on the truth, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And we use logic, reason, facts, and evidence in order to try to arrive at what the truth is. And again, maybe you don't get to the same place, but as long as you have the same criteria for the conversation, I feel like you can have productive conversations.
With anybody. Yeah. And I think Bill's like that. I mean, Bill had Charlie Kirk on his podcast.
Yeah.
And I think that just shows like, that's not when you think of someone from the left, they don't want to have the conversation, right? They don't want to chat. And so for him having Charlie on, I think it just showed that he really is willing to talk, which I really appreciate about him.
It typically, so you've probably seen the Jubilee episodes where it's like 1 against 20 or something like that. They were getting, Jubilee is not a conservative outlet. And Jubilee was getting hammered. Like, why do you only have conservatives on? They're like, because people from the left will not come on for an unscripted, anything goes, ask anything you want sort of event. And a lot of the ones they've had on now have not done well in that environment. Newsom, tried to go on with Sean Ryan, and I've been on with Sean. And the thing about Sean is Sean Ryan knows what he believes. He's a principled man, but he's also genuinely curious. He's not a gotcha guy where you're going to show up for one thing and then he does something else. Sean's going to ask you pointed questions, but he wants to know what you think and why. He's genuinely curious. But Charlie Kirk said that to Newsom. It's like, you guys won't do long form, unscripted shows because you're afraid of how it might look. You're afraid of having to, because And again, I think there's a reason for that, but yeah.
Yeah. What do you think that reason is?
I think that when you look at the coalition that the left has built, there's a lot of contradictions in that coalition. And so it makes it very, very difficult to navigate without pissing somebody off. The other thing that I think has been a primary feature of what we might call leftism as a project of critical theory. So not just critical race theory, but critical theory, Mercusa and whatnot, is it's somewhat postmodern in the way it analyzes things, which means no meta-narratives, no objective truth. Well, if there's no objective truth and everything's subjective, you're going to run into problems having a logical conversation with anybody, because the moment somebody tells me, well, Nick, there's no such thing as truth. Is that a true statement?
Terrifying.
What do you say then? Is that a true statement? Well, if you say yes, it's a true statement, then you lied. If you say no, it's not a true statement, then I don't got to believe you because you just told me you don't believe what you just said.
Right.
And when you have a political philosophy that has gone down this route of you're right not because of the strength of your argument, but because of your race or your identity or whatever else, and it's all just this question of power structures, there's this endless regression, and it ends up in nonsense.
Yeah.
And that's why
I think we're seeing that.
Yeah, that's why I don't think they want to do it. It's not that they couldn't make, for instance, it's not like we, again, with Bill Maher, it's not that we couldn't have an argument about like what makes for better tax policy.
Sure.
But the larger narrative that they've chosen to go with doesn't provide them a good mechanism to argue consistently over time.
And freely.
Yeah.
And freely.
Yeah. Did
you know Charlie well?
No. The first time I was set to actually meet him and speak on stage was, I think, 3 weeks before he was murdered. So I'd followed him for a long time. My kids liked watching Charlie, and we knew a lot of people. Obviously, our mutual friend Cliff Maloney, real close with Charlie. So I knew a lot of the same people, but I was really excited. I was finally going to get to meet Charlie Kirk, because when he first came on the scene, I was curious about him. I was like, this seems a little flashy. We'll see. And gosh, as time went on, a lot of people in politics, the longer they're there, the worse it gets. Charlie was the opposite. The more he got in it, the more he delved into his faith, to marriage, to family. I think Charlie tapped into something in the conservative movement that has been desperately needed, and that's the idea that if you're trying to, I'll put it this way: we talk a lot about freedom in conservative circles, freedom, free markets, liberty, property rights, et cetera. Those things are all wonderful. I believe in all of those things. They're great, but for what? Freedom to do what? And I think Charlie understood that the transcendent is what actually provides you the consistency through trial, through struggle, through everything else. So when you've got your relationship, like with me, I get my identity first in Christ. After that, it goes being a husband to my wife, being a father to my children. If you want to know the things that I will fight through, regardless of how motivated or whatever I plan to be in that, or I am in that moment. It's those things. And so I think Charlie really gave a voice to that for people that were looking for something bigger than just the Republican Party.
Do you think that's why his death hit so hard? I mean, like
Yes.
It was so unique because, I remember exactly where I was when my friend actually had her younger brother was there. So I received word that he had passed before it was even public, because she's like, Dillon, there's just no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. And I remember just crying in my office, because I have a 2-year-old daughter and I have a 6-month-old son. And I remember thinking, like, just they won't get to hug their dad. And I called my wife, and she was actually on her way to the office, and she was like, we were a mess. And then I realized it was not just us feeling that way. It was across America, people feeling that way.
Well, and we felt that way.
Yeah.
The thing that I think changed everything was not Charlie getting murdered. That was horrific. It was watching the response to it by people that you would have thought would have been able to have a degree of compassion in that moment. And instead, it wasn't compassion. It wasn't even silence. It was elation.
Yeah.
They were thrilled. And that was the part, I think, for a lot of us, where we're like, this, the fight we're in is not the one we thought we were in. This is very, very different worldviews. People with similar worldviews can have differences of opinion on policy all day long.
For sure.
But there's still that unifying component. I have never felt more disconnected with 40% of the country.
Your common man.
Than I did in that moment where it's like, we don't even see the world the same way. And there's really no point in pretending that we do at this point. And so, and a big part of it was too, is there's a lot of people on the conservative movement that are very good at owning the libs. Charlie was really good at having constructive dialogue. And that was the one that got killed.
Yeah.
So
Does it did it concern you, your wife? Was there a moment where you're like, hey, we're like Charlie, like you're like Charlie in a lot of ways. Like, have you been, because I'm not a conservative influencer. Yeah. I'm a conservative, I'm a Christian who has a small business podcast out of Detroit. Right. So I don't have the eyes on me that you would have, or other, Daily Wire people or whatever. Yeah. When that moment happened, was there a moment where you're like, oh, this is real? Like,
so my wife, I remember my kids, my oldest daughter was like, my oldest daughter called me up. She goes, Daddy, I know you're going to keep doing what you do. I would like you to please take security a little bit more seriously than you typically do. And I said, okay. And then I signed up to speak at Cal Berkeley, which, by the way, had a great experience there. Had a great experience there. So for me, it was one of those things where I didn't think of it in that way. My wife and my kids did, which I think makes sense. It's kind of hard for me to. It's a little bit difficult for me to think of this as dangerous because of the other things I've done in my life.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I if anything, it just made me angry. Yeah. I wanted to get out there more. Because it had to be one of those things where they had to understand, like, no.
Yeah, this isn't going to silence anything.
You have achieved the opposite of what you thought you were going to get by this. I remember there was this one young woman, just, again, we're used to all seeing kind of the crazy blue hair, live in their mom's basement, 47 septum piercings. Right?
Yes,
like,
right.
This lady looked like the most normal. She could have been your kid's kindergarten teacher, talking about how grateful she was because he was not martyr material, and this would organize no one, and no one would miss him. And I remember thinking, you have no clue. You have no clue. And now the key is to make sure the right doesn't rip itself to pieces in the process.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually kind of my next question, before we change, because I have actually some non-political questions for you.
Yeah,
so that'll be fun. But we talked about it off camera a little bit, and it seems like right now there's a bigger fight within the right than there is between right and left. Like, it seems like right now the most damaging fight happening is within the right. Is you have, the Candace Owens versus the Vince Shapiro. You have the the Tucker versus whoever, right? And it seems, and it's very visceral. Yeah. By the way, like the comment, like I can't tell you how many times I've seen in like Brandon Tatum's comments, like Talmud Tatum, and like claiming, and so like with the whole Charlie stuff, you strike me as a person that is willing to chat about conspiracies, have fun, like, Epstein didn't kill himself, kind of, whatever. Within reason. Yeah. But then within this Charlie thing, you have people like Candace, you have other people that, hey, we're just asking questions, crowd, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that phrase, we're just asking questions. Is that like, at what point does that become almost just a fake way to just
when you're obviously engaging in implication or innuendo, and you're not just asking questions anymore. So here's the way I put it. I didn't comment on the stuff that was going on with Candace for a while, and some people are like, are you afraid? I'm like, no, I'm not afraid. I'm not trying to give additional attention to something. But it got to a point, both with some of the kind of the bizarre theories around like Jews, and then with Charlie's death, where I was just like, this is what is wrong about this is not asking questions, because there are things about Charlie's death that reasonable people can say, hey, that doesn't look like the one from a 30-06 round. Like, I know enough about munitions and ballistics to know that that's strange. It doesn't automatically cause me to jump to, oh my gosh, he was taken out by a cabal
his own person, whatever.
Yeah, there's not sufficient evidence for that. The whole question that the right needs to understand is that there are some on the right that have been so kind of beaten down by the way that the left debated, where the left debated from this idea of you're either on our side or you're not. And if you're on our side, you're good. And if you're on that side, you're bad. And the rest of the facts or evidence that comes into play doesn't really matter that much. So what is the standard for truth? And the problem that I had with Candace's approach, ask all the questions you want. Don't make an obvious implication and then tell me you're just asking a question. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Just be honest about what you are doing. And then I finally put it this way once. I said, God forbid I should ever get killed. If anybody claiming to be my friend comes forward and tries to systematically destroy the organization I spent my life building and implicates, I didn't say directly accuse, but implicates
Suggests
pretty
maybe.
hard that my wife, the woman I built my life with, was involved in my murder, you better have some sufficient evidence. That better be more than vibes and a couple of flight logs that you think are weird, right? And I feel like that was a reasonable thing for me to say. It was a reasonable thing for me to say. And then I would watch elements of Candace's supporters go like, oh, did you get your $7,000 check? I'm like, you know what? I disregard you every bit as much as I disregard the extreme left because I see you arguing the same way. You're not engaging with what I've had to say. You're not engaged. You're pretending to like evidence when really what you're liking is innuendo that you agree with. And then when I challenge something like, would you want this? Would you want your organization, your legacy, your marriage, would you want it all to be crumbled based off of this standard of evidence? If your answer is no, then you should have a problem with this. And at the moment I bring that up, that standard of truth, which seems very reasonable to me, you say, oh, you're bought off, or did Netanyahu pay? I'm disregarding you automatically because you argue just like the left. And the thing that I can't stand about the way the left argues is this identity of this idea of I can completely disregard any of your arguments. Not because you've made one in bad faith, not because you've been logically inconsistent, but because now I associate you with a group that I've roundly condemned. And again, not even condemned based off of individual actions, but a whole group. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. So that's been kind of my problem with that. And some of the, somebody was asking me again about the whole thing. Like, there's a lot of people mad at Megyn Kelly now. And I said, look, when I see somebody that I feel like has fought alongside us for many years, I really do try to give the benefit of the doubt and deference and recognize that we can have disagreements, but there has to be a legitimate standard for truth. And when that gets avoided, and again, I don't put Megyn in that category, even though I disagree with Megyn on certain things. So I don't want us to be quick to throw our own over because we disagree, but there are lines that are troubling. But the other reason why I don't dedicate a lot of time to those fights is because A, I think we got a bigger fight in front of us. And B, I think to some degree, people kind of end up realizing this for what it is. And the thing that made Charlie so powerful is because, again, Charlie brought it back to, he brought it back to God. So there's an objective standard of truth and morality there, right? There's a standard outside of Charlie. Because some of these people act like they're the standard.
Right.
If you didn't hear it from them, you can't trust it. I'm like, no. Nick Freitas is not the standard, right? God's the standard. My job is to try to align what I say, what I behave, how I do it with his rules, not my own. So if something Nick says violates what he says, you go with him, not me. And there's that first, and then getting back to there's 1,000 easy ways to get clicks and everything else. What is so beautiful about standing by the truth diligently, and also investing the quality time in your marriage, in your family, is that what you learn, and I said this when I was leaving politics. I said when I got up on the floor to give my retirement speech, I said, when you walk around this building, when you walk around the Virginia Capitol, the Capitol that Jefferson built, you're going to see a lot of paintings of power and influential people, and we're here. We're here pretty regularly, and we know it. And some of us at one point have dreamed of having our painting on the wall too. And you don't know the names of half of them. If that, you don't know the names of half of them. So the one thing, I won't give anybody any advice on what they should do politically or ideologically or whatnot. We've all had our debates. I said, but if there's one thing I'm absolutely certain of is that don't forego or diminish the pictures that will hang with your family in your own hallways to chase after a dusty picture in a hallway that nobody's ever going to see. And again, I think, again, that was the beauty of Charlie, is he could have the disagreements with people, but he would bring it back to those first, I think, unassailable truths. And that's what differentiated the people who would take those first unassailable truths and try to manipulate them for their own purposes are ultimately not on your side either.
So, I mean, like, with that being said, what would you say, what is more dangerous ideologically to America, the far right or the far left?
I think historically speaking, the far left definitely has the biggest body count. That's not to say that the far right can go off, but the problem that we have right now is even how you define these terms. Because for the longest time, fascism was considered a far right ideology. Sure. But then you look at what the fascists, or even look at what the Nazis wanted. I did this at Berkeley. I said, can you even tell me any of the major points of the Italian fascist manifesto? And students are looking at me, they have no idea. I said, do you know it was a mandatory minimum wage, abolish the Senate because it was unelected and replace it with a People's Council, universal suffrage, right? And I went through all of the various things they wanted. It's all left-wing ideology. Now, did that manifesto adapt under Mussolini and what? Yeah, sure. Did it become more militant? Yes. Did it become more nationalistic than your average leftist would be? Yes. But those aren't defining, militarism and nationalism are not like exclusively defining characteristics of the right. If I'm proud of my nation's military and I'm proud of my nation's history and culture, does that make me far right? No.
Yeah.
And so this is the part where I think we get into a problem of definitions.
Yeah.
But I would say that anybody that is willing to ultimately abandon objective truth or objective morality in order to attain their political objectives or their ideological objectives, that's a threat. To the degree that they're willing to organize, use force, and do it effectively. I mean, communism, socialism, it killed more people in the 20th century than, just about every war before it combined. And I think that has to be taken into consideration.
So you've talked about your faith a lot, and your faith's very important to you and your wife. And, especially you talk a lot about, men being leaders and men wanting to be leaders in the home. And especially like in today's world with toxic masculinity and all this kind of stuff. I want to ask you a question and change the tone a little bit from politics to maybe family and faith and leadership and things like that. You said something on the Graham Stephan Iced Coffee Hour podcast that I thought was interesting. I don't know if you remember saying this, but I'm gonna remind you of what you said.
Yeah.
Graham was asking about what it means to be a man and talking about how men are sometimes scared to show vulnerability. And you said that your wife once told you that she didn't need you to be weak.
Yeah.
She needed you to be tender.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that and what that means for men.
I think it's a question of what does emotional maturity mean for men? Because a lot of times when you hear women talk about emotional maturity for men, what they mean is be more like a woman. And then when you're more like a woman, they don't like it, right? So emotional maturity for men is different than emotional maturity for women. Emotional maturity for men is essentially understanding what the positive and negative manifestation of masculine characteristics are in emotional moments. So I like to joke that men show emotion. We just do it through, we don't typically do it through crying or talking about our feelings. We do it through anger and sarcasm.
Yeah.
So why do we pick anger and sarcasm? Because they don't convey weakness. We don't like to convey weakness because weakness to us signifies vulnerability to danger, and our job is to protect and provide. Well, how are you supposed to do that if you're fearful or you're weak, right? If you're weak, you invite attack. Is the masculine mindset. And it's a good one. It's a positive one. So emotional maturity means that when you have that emotional encounter, whatever it might be, that's an invitation to thought for us. How do we react in this particular moment? How do we assess between danger and not danger? But then it's also about understanding that when you're in an environment like your wife, your children, your friends, there's going to be time for you that they need a tenderness. It's not vulnerability in the sense that you are opening yourself up to attack or that you are breaking down in a moment of crisis. A man should never break down in a moment of crisis.
Mm-hmm.
We should be the guys that have our stuff together so we can be the safe harbor in the storm. But my daughters need to know that they can impact dad in a way that like other people can't. My wife needs to know that she can impact me. My son needs to know that he can impact me in a way that others can't. They are worthy of that tenderness, and so they get to see it. It isn't for everybody. It's for the people that you really care about and that you build that trust with. It's also one of the reasons why, wives need to understand, kids need to understand, when a man shows that tenderness and it gets either rejected or it gets treated poorly, he is likely to button it up, because to go through the act of saying, when a man says, I'm willing to show you tender, like a real man, I'm not talking about some of these wimps. When a real man is willing to show that sort of tenderness and it gets rejected, his inclination is, I was betrayed.
Yeah.
And
it was probably a lot for him to be willing to do that.
Yeah.
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 Have you seen the video of this guy that he's like unraveling this string? It's just like this viral Facebook video.
Yes.
And he's just sitting there kind of like looking and thinking on it, like, what's this about? And his wife comes, she's like videoing him. She's like, what you doing? Kind of like,
kind of mocks him.
Yeah. And he's just like, I've had this spool of yarn since, I graduated high school or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, it just ran out,
Yeah.
and it was like a moment of real raw emotion that his life is going.
Yeah.
And his wife just mocks him.
Yeah.
And like, the whole comment's like, that's the exact, like, that's why men don't do it more, is they're afraid of that happening.
Yeah. Well, and look, if we were trying to be generous, we would say, okay, it was kind of an interesting thing that jogged that moment. But the bottom line is that she could see it was infecting him. And she could see that like he was getting frustrated with her, with kind of being mocked for it. And it's like, look, if you want that man to shut down forever, keep going.
Yeah, keep doing that.
And their answer, well, they should understand. You know what? When men don't respond appropriately to female emotions, we hear about it, right?
Yeah.
And look, rightfully so, when it's appropriate on the whole deal. But again, because we are hardwired to want to protect, that's a real step out for. That's why I need people to understand. It's not that you insulted us, you betrayed us. And betrayal is a betrayal for a man. It is one of the worst emotions that we can, one of the worst things that we can feel, because we assign. A woman was asking me once, how do men feel love? And I said, one of the primary ways that men feel love is loyalty. Every dude has a friend that is probably not that good for him, right? And for some reason, we're still buddies. You'd still be there when they call. Why? Because at some point there was a moment where they were there for you when you really needed them.
Yeah.
And despite all the other stupid mistakes or bad decisions that they make, that was loyalty. And we associate loyalty with love. If you look at what men complain about, it's this idea of why get married when she can take the kids, leave, the whole deal. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. If I believe that you're loyal to me and I demonstrate tenderness or vulnerability or whatever else it is, because I think I can trust you in that environment, and it gets mocked, you've belittled me and you've betrayed me.
And it makes it really hard to ever want to do it again.
Yeah.
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 What are some characteristics for a strong male leader in the home? Like, what would you say are some good characteristics? Like, I have a lot of young men that listen to my podcast. A lot of them are entrepreneurs or wanting to be entrepreneurs, right? Yeah. But I know it's very important. Like, we would say that the family is the nucleus of this nation. It's a very important thing. But like, what would you say are characteristics of a strong male leader in a home? You know
what's interesting is whenever I get asked this question, people are always expecting me to talk about aspects of like character or responsibility or resilience, intellect, capability, and all those things factor in. But I always end up starting with your relationship with God matters. And they're like, well, give me the stuff without that. No, because the bottom line is it would be logically inconsistent for me to do so. If I believe in objective truth and objective morality, so when you ask me, what does it mean to be a good man? Well, if it's just my opinion based off of some life experiences, okay, great. You can go get that from any other man that's had life experiences.
Yeah.
I'm not appealing to that. I'm not appealing to just my experience because guess what? I'm not the standard for manhood. I'm appealing to something that I believe is true, that I believe is objectively moral, and that I believe is transcendent. It's the standard regardless of what Nick Freitas thinks about it.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's so important is because to be a man of good character, when it really counts, I would put to you, the people that say, I don't need God to be good, or I don't need God to do these other things. How do you even define good?
Yeah.
Is it just what you prefer? Is it what you think is good? Is it what consensus says? Is it what other men say? Is it what the majority says? How do you define good?
Yeah.
Well, I know how I define it. And the reason why that's so important is because I've known a lot of men that were good at things, but it really came down to that ultimate test of character. There has to be an authority outside of yourself. And if the authority is just the majority, or if the authority is what happens to be culturally popular or whatever else, you're going to fail. But when you have that and it's correct and it's true, then it's a question of developing the things that you need to be the sort of man that people can rely upon, whether it's your wife, whether it's your children. I was telling somebody, I got a book coming out in April, and I kind of start off the book with every man at some point in his life has probably had somebody tell them, be a man.
Yeah, sure.
And whenever we hear that, we may have different opinions on what it is to be a man, or different priorities, or different things that we would, put up higher on the hierarchy of priorities. But whenever we hear that, we instantly know, it's like we instantly understand that what that means is you are supposed to have the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual fortitude to keep your word and get the job done regardless of pain or discomfort. That's what it means to be a man. And so I think it's about understanding that if that is ultimately our obligation, I think my obligation is to serve God. But if the way I serve him is by being the sort of man I'm supposed to be, where I can protect and provide for my wife and children, where I can be someone that is able to give sound advice, well, then I have to develop myself spiritually first, because that's the source of wisdom, truth, and morality. I have to develop myself intellectually because I should be wise.
Yeah.
I should develop myself emotionally because I should be mature. I should know how to allow emotions to inform my thought, but never direct my actions. I should be physically capable. I should work to keep myself physically capable and healthy. And then professionally, I should work to develop the sort of capabilities that allow for me to take care of myself, take care of my family, and take care of other people in need. And so it's that spiritual, intellectual, emotional, physical, professional, but it all has to be in service to something greater than yourself.
I have one more family question, and then I have a popcorn. I want to go a quick segment before we wrap up. I have a popcorn quiz question I want to go through. But one more family question. So I have a son and I have a daughter, and Lord willing, we're going to have more kids.
Yeah.
My daughter's 2. Her name is Madeline, and she is a blast, and I love her to death. And I can already feel the the phrase we're wrapped around her finger. She has daddy wrapped around her finger and daughter. And I can feel that.
Yeah.
I really can. And we discipline, we love, and we love it. But I can feel that. Should you, in your opinion, do you think that you should parent a son and daughter differently? Because you're trying to teach your son to be a man, and you're trying to teach your daughter to be a lady, and to be a loving, one day, Lord willing, very capable to live in this world, but also to be a good support and to, do you parent the same way? Do you discipline the same way? Do you teach the same way?
You're trying to create 2 different things.
Right.
It's going to have different approaches, different models. They need different things from you. Well, one of the things, the world says that men and women are interchangeable. Christianity doesn't say that. We say that we have equal value before God, and that we're equally valuable within the confines of marriage or society, but we have different roles to play. And what I find is that as the world has tried to push back against that and treat us like we're interchangeable, nobody's happy. But as when we actually embrace the roles with the understanding that it's not a fetish, it's not an aesthetic. Yeah. Right. The trad wife doesn't mean you have to wear a certain dress and do a certain thing.
You're not playing Laura Ingalls
House
of Prairie thing.
it's more of this idea of just understanding that we're not supposed to be competitive with one another. We're supposed to be complementary. And so but there's also similarities. So for instance, the same standard for truth and morality applied to both of my kids. I have watched fathers really screw this up, where when it comes to their daughter, they're like, oh, nobody better touch my daughter, and you better be home by 10, and here's all the rules. With their sons, it's like, hey, go have fun, buddy.
Hey, be a dude.
You are creating the sort of man that you tell your daughter to avoid, right? And what ends up happening is neither of them believe you. Neither of them believe that what you're teaching them is a real moral truth. It's inconsistent.
Yeah.
So there has to be a consistent standard for truth and morality for both of your kids. And a father also engages, one of the roles that the father plays is we tend to discipline and we tend to challenge.
Yeah.
Because we're the ones creating order, right? And then typically our wives are more inclined toward the nurturing and the comfort. And that takes on different roles as your kids get older. So what I tell moms is the things that make your little boy feel loved and safe when he's little make him feel weak when he's older.
Interesting.
And so the way you love your son and the way you interact with him has to adapt over time. With men with their daughters, we have this tendency to not know what to do. We won't engage as much as we should when they're little, and then by the time we're older, we feel completely disconnected. It's like if you want the sort of relationship with your teenage daughter to where when you say that boy's not good for you, she goes, okay. Well, that starts when she's 2. And people ask me, like, do you really think your 2-year-old daughter remembers what you did? I'm like, your 3-year-old daughter remembers what you did when she was 2. Your 5-year-old daughter remembers what she did when you were 3. Your 8-year-old daughter remembers what she did when she was 7. And by the time she's a teenager, you have built this relationship based off of love and truth and honesty, and boundaries which are there for her safety and her protection and her flourishing. That of course she trusts you. Why wouldn't she? You've given her every reason to. Yeah. With your son, it's this idea of as he starts to grow older, it's about constantly giving him challenges to face where he knows you love him, but he also starts to learn that respect has to be earned. Yeah. And so you push him to go out and do age-appropriate challenges, some of which you know he will fail, so you can teach him how to deal with failure. But I mean, let's face it, we've all been there. We like it when our parents tell us that we love them, but when your dad says, I respect you. Because men, again, along with loyalty, we also associate respect with love. In fact, it's very difficult for us to feel love without feeling respect. Love without respect to a man feels like pity. And so a big part of what your son needs is that instruction on the roles that he plays, because he will play a very, very different role in life. Yeah. Another thing that I always tell parents too that's really important is parents will sometimes get so obsessed with the kids that they neglect the marriage. And please believe me when I say this to you. Your kids don't need 14 different recitals, soccer games, extracurricular activities, family vacations, as much as they need to know that mom and dad love each other. Because the marriage was necessary to bring them in the world, right? Yeah. And so when my wife and I both grew up in families of divorce, and we love our parents. Great. I had great parents. Yeah. You know, they just weren't great married together. But if it is very hard for kids to process this idea where, oh, no, I love you, and of course I'll always love you, and of course I'll always be here for you, but I'm not going to be here for the person that I made you with. And so this idea of making sure when the kids know that mom and dad don't just love each other, don't just respect each other, but are actually into each other.
And almost prioritize each other.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, you should. You have to. If you want to give your kids what they need, you have to prioritize the marriage because it's the building block. So much of what your kids are learning about future relationships are based off of watching how you guys interact. Yeah. That's why I always tell married couples, like, flirt with each other in front of the kids. It's one of they might say you, they're like, but it is one of the things that provides so much security. And what it does is it also teaches them what to expect out of relationships. And you're crafting a marriage that they can look forward to. Yeah. And when you do that, it actually helps them avoid trouble.
Yeah, because they know what they're looking for because they've seen it.
Yes. One of the biggest mistakes we make as parents, there's 3 ways to do this. Somebody once asked me, do strict parents create sneaky kids? And I said, no, it's not that strict parents create sneaky kids. Arbitrary rules invite rebellion. If you give me a rule without telling me why, I automatically want to challenge it.
Yeah.
If you give me a rule and the only reason you give me the rule is to protect me from danger, I might challenge whether or not I think it's actually going to protect me from danger or if the danger is actually fun. But if you give me a path to something I want, I'll pay attention to your instructions. So don't give kids arbitrary rules. Yeah. Don't give kids rules that are just designed to protect them. Give kids a pathway to actually get to what they want and then show them why it's worth having. And it's amazing how quickly and how tightly they will follow it.
Yeah, that's good. I know parenting's fun, man. It's even this morning, we took our daughter to the park and you know, had some issues, but then at the same time, like in sales, it's said all the time, and it's true of parenting and life and marriage. People don't remember what they say; they remember how you make them feel. Yeah. You know, my 2-year-old won't necessarily remember what I say, but she's gonna remember how she felt close to dad. Yeah. She's gonna remember how I made her, you know, happy that she wants to pretend to put ballet shoes on and dance around the house. Yeah. Like that's what's gonna when she's 3, she's gonna remember that memory. You know, it's funny. My wife, and then I have a popcorn question quiz, and we'll wrap up the podcast. But my wife, we were all just playing on we have a small little queen bed at home, but my wife's mom is a big king bed. So last night it was like my daughter, my son, and my wife and me. We just got the kids bathed. My daughter was just laughing. She was like running into me. I was belly bumping her, flying her across the bed, and you know, kids were laughing. My 6-month-old, he has 2 teeth. He's just cackling at this whole thing. My wife, it's just one of those like Disney Channel sweet moment, you know. And my wife texted me and she's like, "Thank you for that. That's a core memory for our daughter." Oh yeah. And it's like those for me, I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, I was just having fun. Yeah. And my wife, who she grew up in a troubled home. She grew up in you know, her dad died when she was 6, and again, mom got remarried and it was a struggle and divorced. She just was like, this means so much. And it wasn't even meant much to the kids, it meant much to her. Yeah. And so, and it's wonderful when you have a wife that reinforces that. Yeah. No, I married up, bro. Yeah. We were trying to get her here. The way to do it. We were trying to get her here, but her mom was working today. Okay. So I want to do a last little segment before we wrap up, because I know you have a busy life and gotcha. You know, you have other things, I guess, more important than me. I guess that's fine. I drove 8 hours here. No, it's okay. It's okay. All right. So I have a list of questions. I think popcorn, quick answers. Okay. The goal is going to be to get as much of your wisdom and knowledge in a short amount of time. Such as it is. And I have a mix of, I think, fun questions. Then I have a mix of political questions. I have a mix of, it's going to be fun. Yeah. It's going to be, but the first question I wanted to ask you was, you made a video where you were joking and you said that your wife no longer loves you anymore. Yeah. And then your wife goes off camera. She's like, "That's not what I say." And you say, "What did you say?" She said, "I want you to shave your beard." Yeah. Right. So I want to know what was more painful for you. Was it more painful to go through Green Beret combat training or shaving your beard for your daughter's wedding? Definitely going through Green Beret training, because the beard grew back pretty quick. I got Portuguese genes, man. We're a hairy people. So one time, that wasn't too painful to do that for your daughter. That wasn't too painful. The Green Beret training, when I went there, was 1.5 years long. So okay, I had to clarify that. Yeah. So I have a follow-up question to that, though. What's the biggest difference, in your opinion, between a Green Beret and a Navy SEAL? And then why does John Lovell suck? Sure. So between a Green Beret, so he was a Ranger. Okay, cool. Between a Green Beret and a Navy SEAL, it would be maturity and competence. You know what SEAL stands for, right? Sleep, eat, and lift, right? Like that was so the biggest. All joking aside, we have our friendly rivalries, and one of my best friends, Cameron Hamilton's a former SEAL, and as soon as Delta did this raid, I said, "Wow!" I said, "Navy SEAls can't wait to get book deals off of what Delta just did." But I would say it's this: it's a different mission set. So Green Berets, we operate by, through, and with the local population. We kind of have this reputation as the warrior diplomat. We always say we're not John Rambo, we're Lawrence of Arabia. That's what we do. Navy SEALs are more direct action focused, more maritime focused, very, very, and good at what they do. But it's a different mission set, and that mission set, while it has some similarities and overlap, there's different cultures associated with them. So talk to me about your we're better. Yeah. So then John is a Ranger. John's a Ranger. Yeah. Yeah. And so are they in the category of Green Beret and SEAL? Oh no, Rangers are better than SEAls. That's. I will say the Special Forces tab sits above the Ranger tab for a reason. But no. Look,
God created special forces because Rangers needed heroes too.
Yeah.
And it is tough being John Lovell's hero because he's so needy.
Yeah.
Really,
I've heard. I haven't met him yet. No, John, come on the pod. We'll talk about it.
Ranger Regiment is one of the most premier special operations units in the world. Again, they get thought of a lot of as kind of light infantry because they do fill that role, but they do airfield seizure, they do airborne ops, they do a lot of support ops with Delta. So very, very, very skilled. I was never in Ranger Regiment. I did go through Ranger School, and it was arguably the toughest school I went through as far as a 70 school. But yeah.
What's one lesson while being a Green Beret, like going through that journey, whether it's training, whether it was actual combat, that you learned that changed your life?
The appreciation for understanding your operational environment. And what that means is that a lot of times Green Berets, we find ourselves going into places with very different cultures, very different religious structure, and you always go into a situation using your own life experience, your own motivations, your own culture to determine what's going to motivate other people. And I remember learning the hard way in SF training that instead of looking for a practical solution that met their needs, I was trying to motivate in a way that would motivate me. And so focusing on go in, understand the operational environment, understand where they're coming from and their perspective, and then discuss. Don't automatically go in and assume that what works for you works for them.
Okay, I'd like to end the podcast with a little thing that we have in common. We talked about it a little bit prior to. So
you're going to end with this? Great.
I feel like this is a great ending.
I thought I'd made it through the podcast unscathed.
And apparently you and I both have something very unique that ties us together. I mean, it's a very unique thing to both get in trouble for smuggling a firearm.
Arms traffickers, you across the border.
But listen, wait, they don't know that yet. They don't know that yet. So you and I, for those that are listening, we have something that we are both armed dealers or armed smugglers in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
And so I thought it'd be fun to, tell the story on the podcast because my audience doesn't even know that happened to me yet.
Yeah.
And so tell me about, I guess, the story about supposedly...
Allegedly,
there was a gun where it wasn't supposed to be and you got in trouble for it.
So I think it was 2012 or something like that, 2013, I can't remember. But, I had my concealed carry permit. And so I had my gun in a bag. And I didn't usually have it in that bag, but I put it in there for some reason. And I brought it in the house, and then the next day I had to go in and I had to get double hernia surgery.
Oh no!
So I got double hernia surgery, and so I'm I'm going through that, and then all of a sudden I had to take like a surprise flight for work, and I'm like, I'm still recovering and the whole deal, and no excuse, I'm still responsible, but I picked up my bag. And I went to the airport.
Oh, no.
And I remember they ran my bag through and they said, "Sir, is this your bag?" I said, "Yeah." Like, "Can we run it through one more time?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then they run it through again and they show the screen and like, "Sir, can you explain this?" I'm like, "Is it like one of my kids' toys or something?" And they're like, "No, it is not." And I'm like, "Oh, I said, no. Can I run it back out to my car?" They're like, "No." Like, gosh dang it. But here was the funny part is, they're looking at me and they're like, "Military?" I'm like, yeah, I used to be military. And then now,
what kind of gun was it?
It was a Springfield XD 40 cal subcompact. And so, what's funny is now the Loudon police, airport police, TSA, they're all there, and so everyone's around like, "What unit were you with?" Was it First Special Forces? Oh, no kidding. I was with. So was it a
chillish
nobody it was not like it was like up against the wall. Like everyone was like military, right? Yeah. They're like, and the guy even told me, he goes, "You wouldn't believe how often this happens, and it's always cops and military." I said, "Yeah." I said, "That makes sense." I said, "I still feel stupid," but they're all sitting there, so we're all chatting about this stuff, and they're like, "Okay, sir, well look, we're gonna have to confiscate the firearm." I said, "No, I understand." They're like, "And we're gonna you got to get a summons for court." And then I went and got on my plane. So I got detained. I didn't even get arrested. And then I showed up to court and the Commonwealth attorney said, "Yeah, former military, the whole deal." And he basically said, "Look, we're not going to process this. What that means is we understand you made a
Nothing's
stupid
on your
mistake."
record.
No priors, nothing on your record. I think I had a speeding ticket and they're like, "Look, No process essentially means that as long as you don't get in trouble again, like
Yeah.
if you show up to the airport again tomorrow with another gun, we're going to start prosecuting. But other than that, you're fine. And so obviously it never happened again. But I would say to this day, I will check my bag 3 times before I go to the airport.
Double check.
And even when I put it down, it's like, is there any way a gun could have magically gotten into my backpack? Like, so there's always that nervousness.
And this was before you had a big social media following at this point?
Yes, but it was still like front page news in my local town, because I think I was like the
article still exists. I looked it up.
Oh yeah,
but it's behind a paywall.
Does.
It is behind a paywall. So lucky for you.
People, well now it's not. Thanks a lot. Yeah, no, but people. People, believe me, I will have political opponents and stuff like that will still bring that up. Like, oh, remember when you tried to sneak a gun on a plane? I said, first of all, I did not try to sneak a gun on a plane. I forgot it was in my bag, which is still stupid, my fault. I said, second of all, in my defense, at that point, for most of my adult life, the government had been putting me on planes with guns.
Right.
I said, and that plane would have never been so safe. Yeah. Like I've been through enough.
Yeah, you earned the right to make a mistake. Yeah, so anyway. our stories are exactly similar, except for the fact that mine was international. And I haven't even given you the full story yet. So this is going to be the best part. So I guess the biggest difference in our story is that mine, it was my wife's fault. This guy, I love you. I love you. No.
Way to throw under the bus.
And no, it's funny. Like I actually wanted to sit on it. So this happened when I was planning with your admin.
Okay.
So Gina had reached out to me.
So Gina threw me under the bus.
No. I texted Gina, and so she did. Yeah. Love you, Gina. I texted Gina while I was being detained because she had texted me about this interview, and I said, 1 sec, I'm being arrested. And so I'm in Canada. Yeah. Going there for work. My wife has her concealed carry.
You were trying to liberate Alberta. I
was
liberating Alberta.
It was the January 6th, their version. And my wife had just driven the car, and she has her concealed carry. She's a real estate agent. It's like a rule of mine. I'm like, you will carry. And she had just driven the car, and I had my golf clubs in the back seat. She had put her purse under the golf clubs because she had to go do something. Yeah. When she had gotten home, our kids were crazy. I had a work meeting. We switched last, so she just ran in real fast, right? And my wife is the most responsible person in the world. Like, this never happens. But of course, the time it never happens was the time I immediately took the car. And by the way, she also never drives my car. Yeah. But she drove my car.
So this is the perfect storm.
It's the perfect storm.
You were going up to Canada to join the truckers convoy.
Right. I had a client meeting. I had a client meeting in Canada. And and I've also been to Canada 1,000 times. They've never searched our vehicle, ever. Like, normally, like when you're in Detroit, so we're 15 minutes away from Canada.
Dude, I think your wife set you up, man. I think
you talked about divorce earlier. This is her plan. This is her plan.
Like, oh, I can't believe it.
This loser. And so I go across the border. The girl was just a turd. Like the girl, she's like, why are you here? I'm like, I have a client meeting. I'm a podcast consultant. And she looked at me like, you're a podcast consultant? Like, I'm like, you think I'm going to make that up? Yeah. Like, you think of everything that's going to be viable, podcast consultant is not. So I'm like, no, I help companies create podcasts. They have a client, like we're building a studio for them, and I'm here to consult and make sure everything works right, strategy. And she's like, okay. So then she messaged, like, she tells me to pull up, and I'm like, is there a problem? She's like, I need you to pull under this overhang. And I'm like, ma'am, is there a problem? She's like, I just need you to pull under there. And I said, okay. I'm like, she's like, you're going to be searched. I was like, okay, it's weird. But so at this point, I'm annoyed. So I'm trying to get to a client meeting. I've been to Canada 1 million times, and I'm just like annoyed. So I pull under this thing, and 3 guards start walking toward me. They have guns. They're like their version of ICE agents, right? I don't know what Canada, syrup agents or whatever. I don't know. And exactly. Yeah. And they walk to me. They're like, sir, can you step out the vehicle? And I'm like, well, that's weird. I was not planning to leave my car. Mm-hmm. So I was a little.
So you had to put on pants that day.
I had to, right. So it was my boxers. So I get out of the car, they put me to the front of the car, and he starts questioning me, like, why are you here? And I'm like, well, I'm here. He's like, oh, you probably got pulled over because you're here for business, but you don't have a business permit. And I'm like, but I don't need one because it's consulting work, because I'm not actually doing hard. So anyway, so he's like, but that's probably why you were flagged. I said, okay. And he's like, sir, do you have any weed? I'm like, no, I don't have any weed in the car. Because in Michigan, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of weed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weed. Everywhere. And he's like, sir, do you have a gun in the car? I was like, no, I don't have any gun.
Because also a lot of things in Michigan. Yeah, a lot of guns and weed.
Guns and weed, the 2 most popular things in Michigan. And I said, no. So they checked the front of the car, so there's the car here, 2 agents on either side. I'm sitting at the front of the car with this person, and he's grilling me, asking me all these questions. I'm getting annoyed. Yeah. I'm like, sir, like I have a meeting to be at. Like, how long is this going to take? He's like, oh, a couple of seconds as long as you're clean. Get to the back seat of the car, and the female officer on the far end says, "Found a gun." And I go, "What?" And immediately, you would have thought I was some international terrorist.
Yeah. Well, they found your wife's concealed
carry.
They
found my wife's concealed carry. Yeah. The just bazooka.
The concealed
laying in my golf bag. Shotgun across. Yeah. Like, sir, this driver shoots. Yeah. And so they put me up against the hood of the car. They cuffed me.
Wow.
And I've never been cuffed before. So like I'm like I don't drink very much. I don't drink and drive. Like I don't I've just never put in the situation where I've been arrested, right? So I'm cuffed. I've never been cuffed before. Yeah. Taser's being pulled on me. So the other 2 officers pulled out, immediately. I'm up against the hood of the car being cuffed.
This is the most exciting thing that's ever happened at a Canadian border stop.
Yeah, they were thrilled. They're like, they're like this
overweight
American. It's going to be absolutely awesome. They read me this Vienna Convention thing. Yeah. Apparently there's like something because it's international. Miranda, right? Well, they read me my Miranda rights and a Vienna Convention thing. It's both because apparently something. Then they said, "Do you want us to let the United States government know that you're being detained?" And I was like, "Should I? Like, I don't know." Yeah. And he frisked me twice. Second time I think it was because he wanted to, because he's Canadian. But so
he was French.
He was enjoying it. Exactly. And so he frisked me twice. He's like, "Sir, is there anything on that that could poke me?" I was like, "No, like just please." And I was nice. It was very cooperative. I was like, "I've never tell me what to do, whatever." And I was still a little shocked. So they walked me handcuffed through the parking lot, through the waiting room. So all these people are looking at me like, "Holy crap, this guy got cuffed." And I knew it was okay. So I'm the kind of person that I crack jokes under pressure.
Yeah.
It's how I cope. My wife, we do it on air. It's how I do it. And I knew I was going to be okay.
Yeah.
When the third time he frisked me, this is 3 times.
Yeah.
He got around the gluteus maximus arena. Yeah. And kind of, dug in a little bit.
Yeah.
And I said, "Sir, would you mind taking me out to dinner first?" True story, said it. Yeah. Girl cop had to turn around and laugh. And when she turned around and laughed, I was like,
we've broken the
We're
ice.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're all right. And then I remember they wanded me and it kept beeping over my nipple. And I don't have nipple piercings, by the way. I'm not a freak.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. And he's like, "Sir, do you have anything under your shirt?" I was like, "My nipple? I don't know." And so she starts laughing again. Yeah. So at this point, things had calmed down. Yeah, I knew I was going to be okay. And they're like, "So, sir, we're going to put you in jail." And first time for me as well. Yeah. And this is also my first time involuntary handcuffs.
This is some pretty cool dad lore, by the way.
I remember sitting in this cell. And by the way, it was not like an Andy Griffith cell. It was like full on door shut, like you couldn't see anything when you're in the cell.
Oh wow!
Like it was
there anybody else in there?
Just me, solitary confinement. Yeah. They made me check the jail cell before they put me in because they said if they found anything in there, then they would put it towards me. So it's like, dude, tons of great experiences for free. It's crazy. And so I was in jail for like 2 hours. They said I was going to get a Canadian lawyer. Yeah. And right before they closed the door, I said how long I'm going to be in here but they didn't let me text anyone. Yeah. They they immediately put the phone on the I remember that there was a small part of my mind because when I think of Canada, I do think of them being generally nice and saying sorry, but I also think of them like kind of corrupt government. Like I didn't really know how they don't love America.
Is this a chance to get back at Donald Trump?
Yeah, I just had no clue. Tariffs, and I just remember sitting there like no one knows I'm here. Yeah. And that moment was a little freaky. Yeah. Of like, I have zero. It was the first time in my life that I felt like it's zero control in my life. But they said that they'd most likely I'd be out before the lawyer even gets there. Yeah. And so I was in the cell for about 2 hours. Yeah. And I just remember sitting there thinking like, how do I deal with how do I respond to my wife? Like, I just remember being like, do I get mad? Like,
oh, dude, this is leverage. Are you kidding me?
Boom. Thank you. Okay.
You just got a get out of jail card for like 3 arguments.
Literally get out of jail card. So that's exactly what I did. So my plan was I was just going to shoot her a text and just ask her questions to lead her to the solution. So I finally get out of jail. The other really weird thing that happened that's interesting, I was cold. It was really cold in the cell. Yeah. So by the way, in the movies when like someone's in the cell and they peer and you can see the eyes.
Yeah.
I got to experience that. So that was really cool because they like did the eye thing.
Yeah.
And every 15 minutes they would check on me to make sure I was still there.
Yeah.
And I wanted my jacket. I was wearing a jacket that had strings on it. And I asked for my jacket, said, we can't give it to you because it has a string on it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I thought, because I'm dumb, I thought they were worried about me using it as a weapon.
Yeah.
But they were worried about me like offing
hanging
myself.
yourself. Yeah.
But bro, I'm like 400 pounds. Do you really think a string is going to like...
It ain't doing it.
It's not going to happen.
Well, I don't know.
Like,
I didn't think you were a gun smuggler
yeah,
either.
yeah,
Who
well,
knows
that's
what you're
true.
capable of?
I thought they thought it was like Rambo or something. They were nervous with the string. Anyway, so that happened. And then the crazy part of this whole thing, well, I text my wife and I say, hey, she's like, it's been like 2 hours. I haven't heard from you. I was like, yeah, funny story about that. I said, where's your wallet? And because she's a stay-at-home mom, so she didn't need to leave that day. And she's like, oh, did you get to the border yet? I said, and what's in your wallet?
Yeah.
And she's like, Dillon called me. And so I'm like, I've been in jail for the past hour.
Oh man.
And so she's just spam calling me. I'm not picking up. I need to let it fester.
It needs to simmer a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Marinate.
Yeah, just let her, think about what just happened.
What she's done.
Yes. And
I'm not angry.
No,
I'm
just
disappointed.
Yeah. So anyway, and the crazy part about this whole scenario, and I called her, I explained, she's fine. She's sobbing. And I'm like, I'm fine. I said, they only threw me up against the wall and a couple black eyes. Like, I'm okay. Yeah. And they still let me into Canada. After all that.
They did what?
They still let me into Canada. They still let me go and run my appointment.
Did they confiscate the gun?
Yeah, so they confiscated the gun. They made me pay $1,000 to get my car back.
Holy crap.
So that wasn't fun. So they confiscated my car as well. And so in order for me to get my car back, I'd pay $1,000.
Yeah.
Then immigration dude was a turd ball.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm sitting there. So the police people let me go. So they're like, you're free to go.
Yeah.
But you need to go through immigration if you want to continue into Canada. I'm like, well, I still want to run my meeting so I can make some money to pay for this freaking car that I just, and the immigration guy was a turd ball, dude.
Yeah.
He was just like, so do you normally just carry your wife's firearm around for fun? I was like, yes.
Sure do.
All the time.
Sure do.
Just love it. It's one of my favorite things. And so he was a turd, but eventually like he called the client to make sure I was there legitimately. Like it was a thing. So yeah, so that's my gun smuggling. So I have.
Wait, you got to go back for court?
No, so no court, dropped all charges.
Okay,
so
that's cool.
So the lady cop was awesome. The one that was like laughing. She was like, just so you know, we made it as like it was an accident. Just so you know, like we know it wasn't your fault. Like she said, you can appeal it. So we're in an appeal process right now. Yeah. So the only thing that happens. So the best part is, well, before now America knows. But before I told this story, Canada has like what's the word?
Confiscatory?
Yeah, something. So that they don't share info with the United States. So the United States did not know.
Different. Yeah.
So this is not on my United States record. That was my wife's biggest concern. She's like, did I make my husband a felon?
Yeah.
But I have framed at home this thing that says ICE firearm seizure from Canada. Yeah. Like I am officially a firearm smuggler. And that is the story. Finally told.
Wow. I got to say, you were a horrible gun runner. It cost you money.
Yeah. I am so bad at my job. I had to
really
pay money and lost the gun.
I'm a consultant.
Yeah. Right. They'll never guess podcast consultant. That's a good alibi. Yeah, man. So that's a shout out to Canada. Yeah. They did me a solid.
Our friendly neighbors to the north.
Appreciate them. Make good maple syrup and pretty nice.
And thorough in their searches.
Yes, dude. I'm telling you, they got in there. And
they got
the worst part. I got home that night and I walk in. I was like, I'm a changed man. My wife just breaks down bawling. Oh man. Well, dude, that
is the sort of thing where again, because you don't have to go to court or get prosecution like that. It's the sort of thing that it makes for incredibly good dad and grandpa lore.
It's a great campfire story.
Yeah, absolutely. One time I was running guns up in Canada. What was Grandpa doing?
Yeah. One time
I thought Grandpa was a podcast consultant.
Got arrested for smuggling a firearm up into Canada. Oh, man. Yeah, so that happened. So at least we have that in common.
Yeah.
So we can we both have great stories.
We can commiserate over our failed attempts at gun smuggling.
Yeah, that is now not something I know I cannot pursue.
Yeah.
As an occupation. Well, I'll tell you what, man. I could talk to you for 3 hours, and I wish we could, but I appreciate you coming on the podcast in your studio. Thank you for hosting me. Shout out to Nate the Great in the back there. putting all this together. And, you know, I think your content, the thing that I personally love about you, and then I have one final thing I want to end with, is the authenticity is loud when you speak.
Mm-hmm.
You don't pretend. You are who, like meeting you now, you're who I've seen on camera. Like, you don't hide it. And I think that is why you've gained the following you do. I think people appreciate that. So don't change. And I do want to ask you one final question. You've been interviewed by a bunch of people. You've met Michael Knowles, Graham Stephan, you've met President Trump. Has there been a favorite experience, like when you've been a guest at someone? Like, for me as a smaller podcast host, like, what are things that hosts do that you love, that you've really appreciated, maybe a memory of an interview that you did that you thought was really well done? Like, what is something that maybe I could take away and be a better host based off of an interview that you thought went really well?
It is hard to come up with just one thing, because there's been a lot of fun. Like the Unsubscribed podcast with, like, you know, those guys was a blast and a good time. I remember, you know, Trigonometry, those guys are wonderful. Graham was, they were great. Something I tell you, the first time where I remember I got invited on a podcast where I think I have no business being here was Sean Ryan.
Yeah.
Sean Ryan kind of contacted us up out of the blue and asked if we'd be on. And I remember thinking to myself, because, you know, Sean was a SEAL, Sean was an operator, I was an operator. And I remember thinking, man, I really want this guy to be a good dude, because it would suck if he wasn't. And I remember thinking, we typically what you do is you fly in the night before, and then, you know, maybe you, or if your wife comes along, they'll go out to dinner with him and his wife and the whole deal. We didn't get to do that. I flew in the morning. So him and I grabbed breakfast. And from breakfast to talking beforehand to doing the show to after, nicest guy, very, very genuine, and couldn't wait to help you succeed. Like, here I am showing up to Sean Ryan's show, and this was a couple of years ago. So this is before we had I think it was before, I mean, we're at about 5 million across platforms now. We were nowhere near that 2.5 years ago.
It's a big opportunity for you guys.
Oh yeah, it was. And we get up there and Sean's like, man, you guys are just crushing it on your short form and whatnot. I love your videos. And, you know, what do you think of this? And here it is. He's asking me, you know, for advice on short form content.
Just humble.
Oh yeah. And oh yeah, just like I said, genuinely curious. How can it be better? And then it was, well, do you guys do ads? Do you guys do this? Are you looking to do that? Oh, I'll get you connected with this person. I'll get you connected with that person. He was not only genuinely curious to learn whatever he can from the people that he has on, incredibly respectful, but he's also very eager to help you be successful as well. And so as much as I've appreciated all the different interactions I've had with people, except for John Lovell, of course, who's
that guy.
That guy.
Warrior Poet Society, who does poetry.
But I will never forget Sean just being so generous with his time, genuine in all of his interactions and whatnot. So I give a lot of props to Sean Ryan, who, you know, when he had a little guy on, you know, in the podcast.
Again, it's not what you say, it's how you make people feel. I mean, it just goes back to, like,
good dude.
That's awesome.
Good dude.
Shout out Sean Ryan. Sean Ryan show. And Nick, thank you. I mean, seriously.
My pleasure. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, the fact that you'd be willing to even let me come and barge into your studio.
Gosh, it was our pleasure, man.
It's just
this
humbling.
made it easy for me. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I love
like, dude, I don't think you understand. Like, in my church, like, I have friends that they're like, you're doing what with Nick?
Yeah.
Like it's just such a humbling, for me, it's like humbling to be able to do this. And like, most people don't even believe me. They're like, oh yeah, I'm going to Nick Freitas' studio.
Can I give one other example of something that was super, super cool?
Please.
All right. So Sean Ryan always gives a gift. That's really cool. But the coolest gift I ever got is going on with Chad Robichaud. So Chad was former MARSOC, did development for DevGru, which is SEAL Team 6.
Yes.
And 18-1 as a professional MMA fighter. Chad Robichaud is an awesome, total Chad, right?
Yeah.
Great dude, great guy. But I go on a show, and here I am again. I'm like, man, I'm going to meet Chad Robichaud.
Yeah,
this guy is like
pretty
awesome.
cool dude.
And we show up. He's like, hey, man, what Smith & Wesson do you want? I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, yeah, Smith & Wesson's one of my I do a lot of stuff with them. So like all my guests get a gun, like a pistol. He's like, unless you want an AR, you want an AR? So I've got my Smith & Wesson AR from going on Chad Robichaud, some Wiley X glasses. Like, so the coolest loot
was the Smith &
was
Wesson.
from Chad Robichaud.
Shout out Chad.
And again, just another just incredibly genuine guy, very, very humble for all he's accomplished.
Yeah.
Super humble guy, great man of God too.
It's so funny you mentioned that. So I sent you some coffee.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Was it
You
decent?
had some.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a low acid coffee blend. He's drinking some back there.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it. And I sent you that ahead of time. But I this morning I was in the shower and I literally texted my wife. I said, I'm an idiot. And literally this morning. And I said, I'm so stupid. I should have gotten Nick a customized coffee mug.
Well, you were going to bring me a gun, but the Canadians took it. So that
Dude, literally, look at this. Because like I'm new. Like the gift giving thing is something I need to be better at. And
I'm not good at it. I like gifts are usually something I associate with friends and family, and not as work as much. And I'm trying to get better at it.
Yeah, I literally said I'm so dumb. I should have had a custom mug made for Nick.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to do that. I'm going to, because I was blasting through your short form content this morning, right? And I was just like trying to get as much Nick as I could to craft questions. And I'm like, bro, I'm so dumb. I sent him coffee, but like I should have gotten some sort of like awesome. So we have a lot of sayings. So like one of our saying on the show is smart people ask dumb questions.
Yeah.
And that's like a saying that I say all the time. Because like if you're a smart person, you're willing to ask that dumb question, that simple question to help you understand. Yeah. So I was like, I should have made. So anyway, that's on me. I didn't get it. I should have done
that's
better.
That's okay.
You open your studio up to me, and I just send you a bag of coffee. What a loser! What a loser!
Yeah. Couldn't believe it. I walked in. I said, "Wow, what a loser!"
Clips like do it. I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyway, man. Well, dude, this has been. I mean, really a dream come true for me. And
well, when I'm in Michigan, if I'm ever trying to escape Detroit, I'll
you come. I'll tell you. Listen. You should come. Michigan is the most beautiful state in the world. I will die on that hill. Up. Wait. Nate, you're laughing. He's laughing off camera. Everyone. Yeah. So if you go up North Michigan, it's God's country. Okay. Up North Michigan, Traverse City, Petoskey. Yeah. It is.
Pretty woods.
Pretty woods.
It's cold.
No, it's beautiful. Yeah, but in the summer, our summers, man.
Yeah.
Michigan summers are incredible. Michigan, listen, 6 months.
Our summers are great.
The best.
They're the best. Yeah, it's
so
a balmy
Michigan
64.
is 50-50. 6 months out of the year, you hate it.
Yeah.
6 months out of the year, you love it.
Got it.
And I'm telling you, though, up north Michigan is beautiful. The actual city of Detroit's pretty fun. Like, we could go down there with the family all the time. It's yeah, you get only 4-hour drive from Chicago. Is
that a selling point? Or
yeah.
If I want to go from one apocalyptic nightmare to another one, it's a short drive.
It's only 4 hours straight down the highway. Oh, it's not that bad. Detroit's great. You should come. You should visit. But Upper Michigan, I'm telling you right now, Lake Michigan is beautiful. It has tides. It's a freshwater lake. You're a Green Beret.
Yeah, that's where I learned I don't like cold water. Cold water's for drinking, not immersion. I'm not
so
a
you're
seal.
Not an ice bath guy.
I'm not a. My gosh!
Have you done one? Have you tried it?
They try when the whole cold plunge was going on. I'm like, watch, this fat is going away.
It really has.
It has.
It hasn't.
It has because they're looking at it now, going, "Does this really?"
You know how you know someone ice baths?
What?
They tell you.
Yeah,
it's the same
exactly.
Thing as,
It's like people that are vegan.
Yes. This is what I say about ice baths. So I have an ice bath at home. So now you know I do it because I told you. Yeah. So I meet the statistic. And I know I don't look like I ice bath. I'm not like a Rogan, But I have the insulation. So I think that's why I enjoy it is. Like I have the insulation that some people don't have. Like you would be cold because you're just ripped.
I appreciate that.
But it is
eyes
great.
Are bad, but
I'm telling you, it's great. It's the best. Each morning when you have to go out there with a hammer and break the ice.
You know what's even better? Like a hot tub. Yeah, that's even better. I would tell you, I have been in a lot of cold water, and I never thought this is the best. I've also been in some hot tubs, and I thought this is pretty awesome.
It just so this is for me as a city boy that sits at a computer all day because I don't get to I'm not in the country of Virginia. Like for ice baths for what it is for a lot of people is it's just something hard to do first thing in the morning.
I can appreciate that.
I accomplished something I did not want to do. I sat 2 minutes in stupid ice water. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can do anything.
As your
today.
body began to
So it's like a
shut down
de-stressor. Yeah. So as you
pull all the blood into the vital
hypothermia
organs.
starts coming, my wife drags me out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I beat hypothermia this morning. I can take the sales meeting.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
I beat hypothermia this morning. I can do anything. I can smuggle guns into Canada.
I
well,
can
maybe
do
not
this.
that.
Like I'm gonna put it behind my golf bag in your purse. They'll never find
now,
it.
every time you go to Canada, it's like, what are you here for?
Yeah,
Like,
my biggest regret is me not asking them to get a picture in the cell. Like, so I do legitimately. Next time I go, I think I'm going to ask them to take a picture in me within the cell.
I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
I think they will, and I'm just nervous about them shutting it.
I missed it last time.
Yeah, like I'm like, listen, some of my friends didn't believe me.
Yeah,
like,
well, and a lot of people are going to be like, Canadian jail. That's just like a Motel 6,
yeah,
right?
they probably
like
give you a massage,
It's not even
some syrup.
Yeah,
you know,
right?
And whatever Canadian bacon.
Yeah,
which is not. It's ham.
It's ham.
It's dumb.
It's ham.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're
bacon.
trying to convince us of.
You're a big bacon guy.
I like bacon.
That's when your
bacon.
admin meant bacon and black coffee. Bourbon guy.
Yeah.
And are you a cigar guy?
What's for breakfast? I am not. Oh my God, I'm again. So do you know Reed Choi?
No.
Really huge following. Does a lot of he's an actor. Huge funny guy. Really good dude. And we went out and had cigars once, and I was trying to be cool with Reed. And he actually, I will say this: I'm not a big cigar guy, but he sent me a cigar that was phenomenal. But I can't get into it. I've tried. Yeah. I used to smoke a pipe, and that reminded me of my grandfather.
I think I've seen a picture when you were in the
Green
Beret.
I was in Iraq with that in the Tigris. My grandfather used to smoke a pipe, so I love pipe tobacco, but I stopped smoking because I was just doing it too much. But I can't for the life of me. I just can't get into cigars. It just, I don't like the taste. I don't like the aftertaste. I don't like what it does to my clothes.
Yeah.
But
did
you
try one of the Mayflower ones?
The Mayflower. Look, as cigars go.
Yeah.
The Mayflower ones are good. Reed sent me one that was just the best cigar I've ever had.
You remember what it was?
But I'm just not a cigar guy.
Yeah. But you're a bourbon guy.
I do like bourbon.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah. I do like bourbon.
That's good. Cool. Well, I'll tell you. Thank you for coming on the Dillon England Show in your studio.
My pleasure.
And thank you guys for watching this episode of the Dillon England Show. This is Nick Freitas. You can go follow him on all socials. You will be very glad you did. Nick gives great advice. He also has a podcast with his wife as well. If you want to, this is your opportunity, I guess. Anything you would like to promo, podcasts, whatever. This is your opportunity.
I mean, you can follow us anywhere on social media with Nick J. Freitas. Our show, Making the Argument, we've now bumped up to 5 shows a week.
Wow.
So we're busy there, but Tina and Christian are still going to be on with me every Thursday. And then we have another show called The Y Minutes that we do. So if you're more of a short attention span person, that's a good one for that. But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. Honor to meet you. And,
yes,
and
sir.
thanks for having me on.
Thank you. All right. Thank you guys for watching this episode. Please like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next one. Cool. Thank you, brother.
No, my pleasure, man.